YouTube, what is up? It's freaking go time. I'm about to lift. Oh my god, I got the ring on deck. Razzleberry. This is the greatest flavor ever created. The greatest flavor ever created. I'm very addicted to caffeine. I do have a bad caffeine addiction, but let's get revved up. About to head into this gym. Freaking get after it. Little Saturday morning sesh. So these are the fun ones. A little lower body power and then some upper body pump. I think I've shown this workout like 4 times. I keep filming on Saturdays, but there'll be some more newer stuff in this, different rep schemes. Also, I'll probably condition later today. It's early. I want to be super active today, do a bunch of fun stuff, but first get this lift in, get after it. So let's go. All right, diving in the session, starting off with some little warm-up, and then we got into these dynamic jumps. So usually on a Saturday, I am stiff as a board, so it takes me a while to warm up. So I actually started with just the foam roller, which was 36 inches, and then did a couple over there, then 40 inches were just the 45, then 42 inches, and then worked up to 43 to 44 inches today, and I just did sets of 2. So those I end up doing, I think, 6 sets of 2. So the goal is just overall jumping time. I think I set a clock for like 15 minutes, and I just went as needed, probably going like every minute 15. Jumps felt springy, but take your time easing into the jump, especially if like the first couple jumps you're feeling tight. Really ease into it because, man, the first ones I was barely clearing 36. Then once my hips, glutes, hamstrings, knees started waking up, you start feeling springy. I mean, I wouldn't even consider as volume. I wouldn't even count those warm-up jumps. Like, I don't really count the jumps until I feel 100%. I feel like I'm getting a 10 out of it. So take however long you need to warm up, get those sub-maximal jumps in, warm yourself up, and then get the maximal one. So did 6 sets of 2 with just a kneeling over the hurdle, and then I did the combo jump here. So lowered the height to just 40 inches, and then here I just went 10 total jumps, and I just rested as needed. And that first rep, you saw I had that little small band to kind of mark where my foot would be, and then each jump, my goal was to be at least at that or past it, and then once I wasn't, that's when I'll stop or just go to 10, and I ended up actually getting past it or at it for every jump. So that was actually my lowest jump. So pretty good. So I was excited with those jumps, moved pretty well. And then once you get those hips and everything moving, the cleans feel good. So cleans ended up doing 6 sets of 2 again today. Moving with 286. Bar moved all right today. It was a little sore from the previous leg day about 2 days earlier, but was glad I was able to get this in. Again, working on my clean form. Clean forever, but always can improve it. And honestly, I love it. Like when I get feedback like from other coaches or people online, like they do it in a nice way. They don't critique it. They're like, hey man, like you could try this. Someone gave me advice on trying to hook grip and stuff like that. Like I love that stuff. Like by no means am I an expert at every way of training. I love doing all elements of training, but there's always room to improve and room to get better. So I do love some feedback and getting coached, and I always, want to get better in this. So I had someone on Instagram reach out and offer his advice and what I could do to fix that. So just the small things, working on that a little bit, but finished that lower body power stuff. And then I got into the pump, shoulders and arms here. Started with this mechanical drop set I've been playing around with the last couple weeks. Seated lateral raises in that 8 to 10 range, essentially until you can't get like a full range of motion lateral raise, and then resting 10 seconds and then going into standing lateral raises. Try to get as many reps as possible. I got between like 9 and 10 each set on those seated, and then like 5 and 6 on those standing. Those will blow your delts up. Feel good. Did those as a pair alone, and then did this superset here of a seated reverse fly. I like to set up at the end of the bench, kind of coming behind your legs, going there. I was trying to think about squeezing at the top for a second. Was in that 10 to 12 range, and I paired that with a lateral cable raise. So on the shoulder days, been doing a lot more like lateral and rear delt work, because that was something I kind of neglected for the longest time. I used to just overhead press all day. Now that do more of a body movement split with the upper body and have more time with it, really try to get some more lateral and rear delt work in. Plus, it's fun to do different variations and different rep schemes, and it's not hugely systemically fatiguing, so I can kind of play around with these added volumes and really enjoying these. So I like these lateral raises as well, just kind of leaning into it, getting a big stretch there. I mean, I'm using like the lightest weight on that cable stack. These are tough, but trying to get a full range of motion. going in that like 10 to 12 rep range per set. Feel really good. Again, been doing a lot more lateral and rear delt work. Feel like it's helped a lot. I feel like my shoulders are looking a little bigger, which is always good. But again, it's just fun to play around with these variations and hitting shoulders twice a day or twice a week, as well as arms, and maybe thinking about changing my split up. As you know, I feel like I could be a little more optimal with it, but then again, I also kind of like the way it's going. So we'll see. But overall, good session and some good shoulder work, and you play around with it. So yeah, went from this movement and then went into some arm work. So got triceps push downs here, and then I always do an antagonist superset for arms. I love doing a bicep, tricep, just double the pump, get the arms flowing. So I love a straight bar push down because, you know, you can stack some weight on here. So I think I have like 200 on the stack. Man, I feel this in my abs so much, but it is a full body movement, but it is so good for your triceps because you just get that huge push down, lock down at the bottom, move some heavy weight. I like it a little more than a rope, again, because you can move some heavier weight. I feel it more in my triceps too, because I feel like with a rope, towards the end, I'm starting to I can't separate the rope, and I don't get as much isolation. I really like those straight bar push downs, and then try to do like a strict bicep curl here. So I like the incline curl, get a huge stretch at the bottom in that incline position, curling back up to the top. So end up doing 3 sets in like that 10 to 12 rep range. Same thing, bis and tris, been hitting like twice a week. Again, something I kind of neglected. I never did a ton of like direct arm work until like 2 years ago. A large part of my training was always just pushing and pulling, but who doesn't love doing arms, you know? I love doing a little more bis and tri work, as long with the shoulder. Feels good. It complements like the main pushing and pulling movements, get some extra volume in that I have the time, and again, it's just fun to do. So ended it with this superset of a overhead cable extension. So I've been doing different extensions. I'm doing like a French press on it where I really like, and then I like this variation a little bit too, really, because with the rope, you can really reach behind, and then cable stack here is just so smooth. It just feels so good when you're doing it. So I was working in like that 12 to 15 range. I think I ended up getting like 14 reps each. And then the last set, I just did a rest pause method. Essentially went to failure, and then I went until I got 20. So I got like 6 more reps and kind of did like a giant set almost. And I paired it with these alternating curls. You know, I had to pop the top for it. Lighting was looking good. It was the last bicep exercise of the day. So I love an alternating curl. I don't know, just one of those moves where it's like a classic like exercise. Like it's almost like a bench press to me, where it's like, you know, bicep curls. That's what you think of when you think of a guy saying bicep curls. You grab some heavy dumbbells, you just rip some curls, curling at the top. Love the alternating one here too, because you really think about one arm at a time, and then going from like that neutral grip into that supinated grip, squeezing at the top. Man, these will fill up my forearms too, like, because essentially you got to do 14 each arm, 28 reps. So the time under tension, you're holding those dumbbells for like a minute, it blows your arms up. And I love doing like one more strict maybe bicep exercise with those seated curls, and then one here where maybe like, I won't even say this is cheating. I'm not really using a lot of momentum at all, but maybe one where maybe a tiny bit of body English. A little body English never hurt nobody. So can't go wrong with that. So that was the bicep and tricep work. And then I just finished with some cable crunches. So abs, I do like 4 days a week. The 3 exercises I always do: toes to bar, incline reverse crunches, and then cable crunches. Those are the 3 I've been in love with recently and throwing at the end of a session. I just love doing extra ab work. Cable crunches feel pretty good. These are actually a new movement. I didn't start doing these until a couple months ago, and been liking them a lot. So good for your abs, really can blow it up. Again, you can load a movement, so always loading a movement for an abs is good. You don't have to sit there and just do 25 to 50 bodyweight crunches. Load it up, treat it like any other muscle group, training that 6 to 15 range, and get some big blocky abs. And then finish with this little conditioning. All I did on the assault bike, 10 seconds all out, and then the remainder of the minute to recover 10 times. So hadn't done these in a little bit, but used to do these a lot for like rugby. Kind of good for like repeat sprints. So alactic capacity work. So this high intensity all out with just a long enough recovery to do it again and repeat it, but not long enough where it's, true speed work. So it's something where they're tough to do, because 10 seconds Doesn't seem like a lot of time, but when you're ripping it, you're going all out. And if you've ever been on a assault bike, you know how much they suck. They do kind of suck. And by like rep 5, maybe the first 5 aren't horrible, but by rep 5, you start feeling your legs and that. And then you just try to push through it and get as hard. I actually should have done a better job looking at like a gauge. I didn't look what my wattage was. I usually look at my RPM and try to hit that. But again, I just kind of put my head down. I'm like, all right, 10 seconds all out. Just hold that standard 10 times. But that was the full workout. It was a fun little Saturday. Post-workout, we got 2 servings Oikos Pro Greek yogurt, and then put half a scoop of the mint chocolate chip in there, Transparent Labs. So I think it's like 60 grams protein, 65 grams protein. And then we got a ton of watermelon because I've been missing out on watermelon. I love watermelon, and I needed it all summer. And then all of a sudden last week I had, and I was like, I've been missing out. So got some watermelon, but this meal down the hatch. Anyways, I was thinking, kind of working out. Kind of like the process of tricking yourself when you're working out. So a lot of the times when I do conditioning or do something hard, you know, I know going in how many reps I want to do. For like example today, I want to do 10 reps of those assault bike sprints. I knew they were going to suck. So kind of in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to do 5 and then we'll see from there. Knowing I'm going to do 10, but tricking myself into do 5, then I do 5. It's not as bad. I'm like, I can do 5 more. I do 6, and now at 6, that's when it's all downhill. Once you get to that halfway point, then it's easy from there. Like, oh, it's only less and less. So, I don't know, just a little rant. But I think tricking yourself, I do it all the time whenever I work out, especially when you're doing hard stuff, or trying to find ways to not overcomplicate it. So, like, instead of going in like, oh, I have 30 tempo runs, or I got to do this, or I got to do 7 exercises, that's going to be 28 total sets, just do 1 set, just do 1 rep. As dumb as it sounds, as like easy as it sounds, it really helps because otherwise, you're just gonna get so overwhelmed if you're like, oh, I gotta squat, and then I gotta RDL, and then I gotta lunge, and then I gotta do this, and then I gotta do that. And you do 1 set of squats, you're like, how the hell am I gonna do 6 more of that? Rather than just attack the set, and then just as you're resting, don't even think about the next set, just think about resting. And then when you do the set, just do the set. I think the biggest thing is try not to think about like what's upcoming, because I think there's like a good quote. It's like, what's the point of stressing about the future? You don't know what's gonna happen about it, but especially with like a set like that, because then you start getting overwhelmed by it, you start losing intent, you start missing reps, you get overwhelmed by it. Now, I think when you are training, like your training should scare you. Like there should be workouts that you're intimidated by. Like, you know, going in, it's not gonna be that fun, but you know you can get through it. I think those are the best workouts. I mean, that's almost every workout I do, but especially when I'm squatting, it's like, whew, it's a fucking 12-round heavyweight bout with that bar when I'm going in for squats. I mean, I love squatting, my favorite movement all time, but I'm going to do a set and then I'm just going to sit there like locked in. Like I'm one of those guys, super friendly in the gym. But when I squat, I just like I have to sit there and just be like locked in, because for that 40 minutes I'm squatting and it's stimulating, but I just went on a whole like random. I went down a bunch of loopholes, but essentially what I'm saying is, do the stuff. Don't get overwhelmed by all the stuff you have to do going into a session or something. You know, a hard workout's coming out. It's good to be intimidated by your workouts. That means they're hard. That means they're good. You're probably going to make some good results. And 3, just keep getting after it. So, yeah, a little rant as I'm eating this. I had breakfast earlier. It was delicious. Actually moving into a new apartment today, so should be a nice one. But do like a full day vlog. I think I'm gonna play pickleball later. I said it earlier, I'm trying to be active today. But yeah, we'll get into this. My new apartment. Literally all I have is a couch right now because I haven't moved everything over yet. But new kitchen, nice. Got a little island here. Let's go. I'm stoked. But bunch of fajita veggies. I don't do any oil in them. I've just gotten so used to no oil. I get they probably taste a lot better with oil, but save some calories, and I've gotten used to it. And then I get it from Kroger, but Kroger has this like pre-made or pre-marinated beef, super low in calories. Like I think 4 ounces, like 140 calories and like 18 grams protein. And I'll go 3 tortillas there. So I love this meal. I love fajitas, so beef fajitas too. Super good. You get a shit ton of vegetables in there with the bell pepper and onion. You get some good protein. It's a great meal. Final product right there. Super good. Also, it's like 6 o'clock and I've barely eaten anything today. This is freaking awesome. I really don't know what it's like to have a bunch of calories at the end of the day. So it's only like 800 calories, puts me like 24 for the day. Probably eat 32 to 34 today. So that means I can have another meal. Let's fucking go. That's awesome. But super good meal. Super excited for this. I get to probably eat this all the time now. This is, once I found at Kroger, anything pre-marinated I love because, again, I'm not great with the spices. I'm learning, but it does help a lot and it's easy to cook. So super nice meal, bunch of vegetables, probably like 60 grams, probably like 50 grams protein. We'll get this down. All right, last meal, got 12 ounces of this chicken, threw a little paprika and chili powder on it, and then a little rice, and then there's zucchini I got from Whole Foods with some like chimichurri sauce. I have no idea if I pronounced that right. I think that sounds right, but it's like 900 calories. Last meal of the day puts me like 3,300 calories, and it is delicious. Little combo of everything. Gonna be it. All right, gonna wrap the video up here. Sitting down, I'm actually overlooking the train tracks. It's my new apartment. I don't know. This might be an abandoned building. This might be the new spot that I come and think. As I was walking, though, I was thinking about some stuff. And I know I say it all the time, but I think it's so true. And, you know, you hear the cheesy quotes, and I think they're cheesy quotes for a reason because they're true as hell. And the more you think about them, the more they're applicable and they're more, you know, can pertain to your life. So, I mean, the biggest thing is fall in love with the journey of it. I mean, it's so easy to be destination and goal-oriented and see this whole thing in front of you, and if you know, you build up to it and that's kind of your Super Bowl, and then you kind of lose track. But I think with working out, anything in general, the only reason I've been successful with this because I've just always loved the training process. Like, I've trained for stuff and that's come and gone, and that was just a byproduct of it. It was like, can I get back to training? Like, as an athlete, I almost actually didn't even like playing games because I knew I had to rest the day before and rest the day of, and that means I couldn't have trained. So it's almost like you fall so in love with the journey, it just becomes such a part of you. It's just those little things add up, man. Those small little things that you think, like skipping that workout, oh, that's not going to add up. Oh, and maybe in the long scheme, maybe, you know, not doing that leg day or missing those sprints or this and that. Maybe in the long scheme, maybe that makes no difference in your strength or whatever your goals and stuff. But if you keep missing those, they will add up. And I think you can always look back on those hard ones and small little moments. Like, obviously I remember every single workout I've done or everything, but I remember like vividly like random ones that are just like meaningful to me that keep me coming back. One of them I was thinking of was my first day of college. I specifically remember this. First day of college, first morning, I remember waking up and I was so excited to go work out and run because I was new to my campus. I was on my new dorm, and I remember looking at Google Maps, and there was this huge turf field like a quarter of a mile from my dorm. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go wake up, go there. So it was like 7 a.m. I go to that field, come up to the field, didn't realize there was a massive fence around. There's like a 10-foot fence. So knowing me, I'm like, well, no excuses. So I started scaling the fence. I was getting halfway up the fence, realized I couldn't jump down and make it to the other side, and I was like, there's gonna be no way I'd make it back up. So I was like, all right, well, it could have been easy to just like go back and be like, all right, well, it wasn't meant to be. There's nowhere to run. And probably that workout probably didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And I'd probably be at the exact, and maybe I'd be at the exact same spot I am right now. But instead I looked around and I was like, well, I'm going to get this workout in. And next to that field, there was this grass, like just a strip of grass that was like 50 yards by 20 yards. And for that whole semester of my first year, that's where I trained. I would run there like 4 days a week, do all my drills there and stuff, because all the other fields were locked and stuff. And I don't know, I think it's just finding places, like find places to work, like do the small things, like that small little thing of like taking the time to actually go and find a new place to train. That became something I was so proud of. Like I remember looking, like it was just a 50-yard strip of grass, but it worked for me. I think it's just those small little things that they compound, they add up onto each other. And like, I'm sure you can have examples where you can think of those ones where you didn't want to do the workout and you end up doing it, or the little things, and they just add up for everything. And I think it makes it all worthwhile, because who knows, maybe it would be in a different spot if you didn't do that. But I don't know, I think just the power of working out and just the ability to, you know, mentally lock in and hold that promise to yourself. I think the worst thing in the world, and one of my least favorite feelings, is if I had a workout planned or something I wanted to do and I didn't do it, and that night I'm just laying there just pissed off at myself, like can't sleep because I broke that promise to myself. And I think hold those promises to yourself, work hard, and great things will come. Like, don't get so caught up on the destination and the overall numbers and the progress and looking in the mirror or looking at your weight going up on the bar or anything like that. Just enjoy the journey. Like, I don't know, have I made much progress in the last month? I don't know, but I love the delayed gratification, and I can't wait to train tomorrow and get after it and go about this week, and these weeks add up, and these months add up, and these years add up, and next thing you know, you've been doing it forever, and you do see that steady progress. But I do think it goes back to those small moments when you make that deliberate choice. Like, I had a promise to myself I was going to work out that morning, I was going to get my sprints in, and I easily could have just, first day of college, like, just be a regular college kid and not hop that fence, but I was a kid with the cleats walking around looking for a place to run and sprint, and I found that place, and that's where I ran the whole rest of the semester. And then that next semester, they actually started construction on that area, so that little strip of grass I couldn't use. So I said, you know what, I got to find another spot, and I started hopping the fence to this other field. So I would hop the fence at night, and I would get chased off by cops, and I just find a way. I think that's all it is. Find a way. Do the small things. The small things add up. Do it when you don't want to do it. Hell, this week, for example, I had a workout I procrastinated forever on. I actually went to the gym, left, and then came back. But I knew I was going to do it because it's just a part of me. I know I'm going to do it. And it's holding those promises to yourself, because the worst feeling in the world is breaking that promise and having to lay there and deal with it. So, when there's days you don't feel like it, there's days you don't want it, think about the small moments. I mean, as cheesy as it is, think about why you started. Think about you when you're 15 or 13 or 20 or whenever you started, and think about how far you've come and how rewarding that process is of just buying in each day, doing the small things, falling in love with it, because it is rewarding and it will come back, and it shapes your life, and it's such a little thing. But it's funny, I think about small little moments like that, random things I've done to get a session in, like shining a light on a field on my mom's minivan, or shoveling out stuff, or just making promises to myself when it's so easy, I don't know, just to I don't want to do it, or stuff like that, or be more normal. I think that's another thing, is I've always been different, and now I love it because that's who I am. But I think for the longest time it took a while to be more accepting of that, because you kind of want to fit in, but it's I don't think the same way as these people, and I do stuff differently, and it's foreign to me that you would just not do that or skip that, or I don't know. So now I'm just going on another rant about that, but long-winded answer: do the small things. The small things are always going to add up. Those small workouts you don't skip, that can lead to another habit change that can drastically improve your life. And I don't know, I think it's stuff like that you think back on, and that's what makes it so fun, is because you have these memories that only you can have. No one can take that from you. No one can work out for you. No one can do anything for you. You got to go do it, and that's why it's so rewarding, because literally it is you versus you. It is you versus you every day. You're not competing against anyone else. You're not comparing yourself to anyone else. You're looking at yourself in the mirror how can I be better than I was? What can I do? How can I hold that promise to myself? So kind of went on a tangent. I kind of go off some rabbit holes, and I probably covered 6 bases, and I don't even know if I got back to the original point. But yeah, that's life. Training's a good mechanism. Working out's important. Do the small things, but just keep getting after it. Stack the days, stack the freaking days, because those days add up, those weeks add up. Next thing you know, those years have flown by, but you can always be proud of the work you put in. Hell, a shitty workout, something that maybe didn't go as planned, it's better than nothing. It's rewarding, and just love the journey. Fall in love with the journey of it. But we'll wrap the video up here. Appreciate everyone watching. It means the world when someone comments on it and watches a video and they're excited to see it or whatever it is, because to me, I'm so new to this, and it's surreal, and I'm still that 13-year-old at heart. At heart, that's just in love with the process of this, in love with the journey, and it's so cool to see how far it's come. And
again, I think doing those small things, they've added up and they've accounted for me being at this position. So keep making you guys proud, keep making videos, keep getting after it, and let's freaking do this stuff together. I'll see you in the next one.